Yeah, I'm your Black Lex today, baby. Now you ain't never gotta like me, that shit is overrated. You need a hero to love, I'll be the villain that you hated. When it's all said and done, you gon' love me. Me kissing babies, fucking ladies thinking of me. Cause I'm the villain, the bad guy, the one that's supposed to lose. But I'm American, baby, so the rules all skewed for me. Steal your identity, fuck up your credit for free. Police know it's stolen, but they still make you pay the fee. And you don't respect me, for real? I'm the one that's showing you what the real world is. All these backroom deals for your kids' future. My financial aid hustle keep your kids mooching. And why you motherfuckers still stupid? The Statue of Liberty married the country, divorced and now the bitch still moving. With half of the money, alimony, child support. You know what's up when I be winning in the court, cause I'm the villain, the bad guy, the numero uno, the one that y'all hate to see. Cause I'm the big dog, the head honcho, H&I-C, everybody wants to be. Damn right, I'm the villain, the bad guy, the numero uno, the one that y'all hate to see. Cause I'm the big dog, the head honcho, H&I-C, everybody wants to be. They try to tell me thou shalt not steal. In the same church they tell me Jesus white, is they for real? They try to say the land of the free, minus the slavery, plus the fact that you pay for land these folks stole for free. And you wanna be Superman. Did you forget that Lex Luthor became the president? You lacking common sense, that's why the villain lives. That's why the villain's right. They turn on Superman, man, they turn on Jesus Christ. Even the devil got teams like Arizona State, Duke, the state of Jersey. That man say you're sold and he can't get a jersey. Y'all go to church on Sunday and you claim you're worthy. That's why I got my credit and I'm charging 10%. You finish paying me and you gon' pay me triple, bitch. So why'd I be a hero when a villain gets paid? And women like paid, so the villain gets laid. So I'ma be the villain, the bad guy, the numero uno, the one that y'all hate to see. Cause I'm the big dog, the head honcho, H&I-C, everybody wants to be. Damn right, I'm the villain, the bad guy, the numero uno, the one that y'all hate to see. Cause I'm the big dog, the head honcho, H&I-C, everybody wants to be.
What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Yeah, we're running a little late, man. It's one of them days. But as you can see what the topic is, it's gonna be me and the second member of the Temptations, the backup singer, not the lead singer. You know, George making street media TV. You remember backup singer. It's all good. The backup singer to the Temptations. So he hit me up about this and he was like, yo, have you seen this? And I was like, seen what? And he was like, this interview with Yada and Anton. So for me, I didn't. So he's like, check it out. I want to do a live about it. And I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Let's do it. Let me see what it's about. And Lord have mercy, it was some shenanigans going on in the building. You get what I'm saying? So for me, for one, I don't know if they're gonna flag me for this or not. I don't know. So I'm not gonna try to. For one, big up to them for having the show. For two, I ain't trying to rip your stuff like that. Just for the record. But we wanted to have a discussion about it. But if you decide to flag or ding me, I will shut it down and do that.
I don't think they will. I've seen a whole bunch of people actually responding to this all over the internet.
Okay, hey, that's cool.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I called you. I wanted to respond because I've seen so many people responding to it.
Yeah, so I don't have the timestamps on this stuff, so you know about when we want how you want to do this.
All right, hold on. Let me move this over here to this side real quick. Because some of the time I gotta still got it up here. Wait a minute, where is it? Yeah, I had some of the time stamps. Let me see. Hold on for a second.
Da. No, I'm bugging. I'm bugging.
Yeah, we can start. We can start. We can start it out at like 9 minutes and let it play for a minute because they
Okay.
really like go in. They go in on certain things. It get real goofy, man. It get real goofy.
I'm gonna start it at 9 minutes right now.
Have you open up the conversation here? Should men be expected to cover 100% of the bills?
First, I want to say all praise is due to the Most High, and I want to pray real quick if you don't mind.
Let's go.
I'm skipping that part.
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Provide 100%
I'm sorry.
care of whoever's under you, that he should provide 100%. While we're doing this, this gives the woman time and space, not just to be great for the man, but also great for the children. And I want to use myself for example. I provide 100% for my woman. My son, he's only 5 years old, and he was tested 2 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. 2 days ago, he's only in kindergarten, but he tested at a 4th grade level. Why is that? Because I handle my responsibility, providing, and providing isn't just financial. Any man off the street can walk to a woman and give her money. Providing is elevating a woman mentally, elevating a woman spiritually, emotionally. This is what it means to provide for a woman. Not just here's some money, run off with it. No. Let me elevate you. Let me bring you closer to your God. Let me set standards in your life. If your father gave you to me, you are my responsibility from the bottom of your feet to the top of your head. I'm going to love everything about you 100%. And if I can't do that, I'm not a man. I'm a male. And that's a difference.
That's your one
Man,
track.
talk to me, brother.
No.
Talk to me, brother.
Nope.
Talk to me,
that's
brother.
not what we're going to do today.
Talk to me, brother.
So this is what we're going to do.
Talk to me, brother.
Because he's like Kamala Harris right now.
Talk to me, brother.
And I've heard all of these talking points.
Talk to
and
me.
I don't even study him because he says the same thing over and over again.
Talk to me.
You got to control yourself because that's
brother.
not manly.
Talk to me, brother.
You got to control yourself.
Brother, talk to me, brother.
So you see how I was quiet
Talk to
when
me.
you were speaking?
No, you cut me off, but go ahead, brother.
I didn't say anything.
You got it, brother. There you go.
I was quiet when you were speaking.
Go ahead, brother.
And so now we're going to add nuance. Now we're going to add context. So first thing we have to do is we have to ask ourselves the question, what does it mean to be a man? Because being manly has nothing to do with a woman. It has nothing to do with pandering. It has nothing to do with just providing. Being a man means being purposeful. That's what being a man is. That means that whatever it is that I seek from God, because my purpose is not a woman is a helpmeet. So when he panders to you guys, and ladies, remember, I don't know what he's selling. I don't know what product that he has, but my goal is to get you married. My goal is to have you married based off of what God says is sanctified, right? I don't want y'all divorced. I don't want you unequally yoked. I don't want you to be a single baby mama. I don't want you shooting your shot in the dark thinking that this guy is giving you insight when he's just giving you talking points with no real substance behind it.
I'm going to stop right here. So this is where we're going to start for me. Are we living in fantasy or reality? Because for all y'all who, we're going to do the cliff notes on some of this debate because it's long. But what you have is, in my opinion, is you got two different guys. Sometimes they come to an agreement, but one guy's more reality-based and another guy's more fantasy or magical, in my opinion. Yada's the magical guy, Anton's the more realistic guy. So when it comes to all of this talking over the internet, and part of this is about, the black community and what's going on with us. This is what's going on in our community. We got a reality community. We got a magical community. And the two can't coexist, in my opinion. Well, they could coexist, but they can't work together. So let us get into this, man. What you got to say, George?
I think the preface is by I'm gonna say this, right? I'm not the biggest fan of Anton Daniels at all. I'll be the first to say, but a lot of this debate I sided with Anton Daniels on this one. I've been married for 23 years. I think the internet has created people where they can become characters, and they grift off a lot of talking points that they use, but they use it because they know that the problem is the people. The people are like sheep. They looking for people they can follow and somebody tell them something to make them feel good. And these people peep the weakness in the game and they exploit it. So as we go on with this, you'll see, because there's things that I disagree with Anton too, but this one other guy was so far to the left, it was like, well, damn, bro, play out. Like, then he was just misusing scripture. Like, it was just like a gross, but like, let's just play some more so people, so we can get context. What time, where you at in the time on there? You muted.
I'm on 12 minutes. I'm about to find the transcript on the thing, so
Yeah,
I can get
put it up to 20 minutes, and we started from there because that's when they start heating up. Like 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's why I'm pulling up the transcript that way.
Yeah.
That way we're gonna get right to the parts.
Yeah, I didn't write the timestamp. That was my fault. I'll start running my mouth when my homeboy came over.
Shenanigans. Let me see. Let's see. Okay.
Yeah, about 20 minutes out, and then go from there.
Internal organs. Adam and Eve, 1929, 24. So we're gonna fast forward this to right about here.
Yeah, let's start from there. And watch this.
Uh-oh. Hold that thought. The commercials, you got to pay the bills.
This woman is able to become something greater than what she was created, which uplifts the man himself. So God gave a man responsibility before he gave him a woman. He didn't say, here's Adam and here's Eve. He says, here's Adam and here's a responsibility. And then when God was seen that he was fit to be considered a man and a head, which God is the head of man and man is the head of woman, he then gave God Eve. And then what happened, brother? And then what happened?
You tell me. Because I'm gonna add the context. I want you
we can go in deep. If you want chapters, whatever, we can do this. But I need every young man listening to me that was raised in a home without a father. Young girls that was raised in homes without fathers. Your mother is divine greatness. Your mother is beautiful. I don't care what no man says about you, your mother, or where you can go. Strive to elevate. Strive to become the best version you are before you get into a relationship, so you don't have to drag a woman through the same things your fathers did to your mothers. Love yourself enough to provide for yourself.
Oh, what he's saying, and this is a issue in our community for sure. We have a rhetoric and narrative issue. Can I just see? Here comes a point where y'all are so accustomed to people saying stuff like, "Oh, your mother got beat. Your daddy ran over your mother with a Chevy, and you grew up so struggling. And nowadays, and everybody was struggling. Everybody came up hard, and everybody, was a crack baby. And it's like, bruh, that's not the truth. So a lot of y'all don't realize people are trying to talk to quote unquote your trauma. And a lot of y'all don't have that trauma to begin with. So they making up these narratives about life and what happened in life. And the reality of it is nothing happened. It's just you need somebody to blame for something. And that becomes a bigger problem, because if you don't blame nobody, if you don't blame anybody, then that means the responsibility for your decisions is on you. And that's
Watch what's the name's response. I'm gonna go in at the his response, Anton's response. Watch
To this
Anton's,
part?
yeah, to where he going.
Okay,
Watch
okay.
Anton's response.
Through your turmoils, all praises is completely due to the Most High. Go ahead, my brother.
You know what's so funny about that story? The part that he left out
What's that?
is that she hearkened to the voice of the serpent. And the man wasn't there to protect her. God was. They had everything. They didn't even know that they was naked. He made her because he said that it wasn't good for man to be alone. And he didn't point to figure it out. He let him name every single thing that was in the garden. And the context matters. And this is what happens when you know your word. And the interesting part about it is the devil know parts of the Bible too. The devil know parts of the Bible too. So that the serpent itself was able to beguile Eve because he understood what God told them not to do, to not to eat from that tree, not to eat that fruit. And although she had all of the covering that she could ever want and need, there is no greater provider than God himself. And you know what she did? She was disobedient. She still ate. And not only did she eat, she went and she gave it to her husband too, which then got them kicked out. And then they had to put cherubims around the tree of life so that they wouldn't eat it and become gods themselves. That's scripture. And then their children was raised up to then kill one another because one of them was jealous of the other. And then the children then became generational curses as a result of what the beguilement was from the wife, from Eve.
Brother.
No.
Okay.
That's what happened.
Okay.
That's literally what happened. So my point is that context matters. It's not just looking at it on the surface.
Definitely.
It's deep diving into the understanding. You need to get a concordance. You should get a concordance because I don't know what book you read. I don't know what version you understand, but you got to get a concordance to understand what words mean. And you need to understand exactly what God instructed Adam. It wasn't disobedient. It was punished for the thing that you tell women to do and you tell men to do. You said, people sent me a video of you saying a man should give 100% of his check to his wife. God punished Adam because he hearkened to the voice of his woman and he wasn't the leader that you saying with both tongues, because it's speaking from both tongues, that you said that men should do. It's the opposite of what God instructed man to do.
That's what he just said is so beautiful.
Now watch
Genesis.
this. I'm gonna go in right after this.
Chapter 3, verse 1 through 6. Adam was right next to Eve when the serpent gave her the fruit to eat. He was right next to her. Genesis, anybody, Genesis,
This guy's crazy.
Pause there.
chapter 1. Genesis,
Now
Genesis chapter 3, verse 1 through 6. Can somebody read that for me?
Now that's up for interpretation because it doesn't give a specific whether Adam was there with her or not. What we do know is she persuaded him to bite the apple. The problem that you have is this guy reminds me of not a Derrick Jackson but a Brother Polite. He comes in and he talks real cunning. He uses his spirituality to lure women in because women are the ones that's in the church more and tend to be more submissive to. They tend to be. They say that they're more submissive to the word of God. They're in the church. So what he's doing is he's grifting that, and he doesn't hold women accountable to the things that they do. Where Anton Daniels is coming from a perspective of he's holding women accountable and also men accountable. So that way you can be accountable to God. Because as this play on, you'll see more and more and more how he'll say that he's speaking to men, but at the same time, he'll find out he has a large women's following. He'll find out the minute he speaks on anything as far as holding women accountable, 50% of his women following is going to stop following him online immediately. And these people know that. So they cater to the things of women and they use scripture to do it. The problem is he's debating Anton Daniels, who knows some form of scripture. So his whole ship is leaking oil. So play some more, but watch as it go along. This is like, because it's going to get real good. It's going to get real good. Yeah, go down some more. Go down until like the meat of it a little bit. Just
what I'm doing. 1 second.
Go to like 30 minutes or something.
You know better.
Now you want to change the word.
All these damn
You think I killed?
See, this is a.
No, it's not changing the word.
Hold on.
You
Wait,
know
wait,
that's not what it
guys,
means.
hold on, wait, 1 second. This is actually chapter 3. I'm reading verse 6 again. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her.
With her.
But no, but see, here's the key. No, here's the key.
Now he want to change the word of God.
Nope, don't overtalk me.
It does.
She talked to the serpent by herself.
Yes, he talked to the.
She ate from the tree by herself, and then she took.
See, this is the reason I just fast forwarded to that, because if y'all read the Bible, yeah.
See, the problem
Can
that
you hear
they
me?
have, people don't use common sense. If you just got married, if you walk up and some nigga talking to your wife, what's the first thing you gonna say? You don't know him.
Right.
You're gonna say, well, who is this? Especially if he's telling her some shit that, like, what is he talking about? Who is this guy? You're gonna automatically stop him in his tracks, or say, hey, how you doing? I'm L.A.R. What's going on? What's going on, baby? Like, you wanna know who this is? It ain't her brother, it ain't her uncle, some random nigga in the street. Just go approach your wife and start talking to her, right? So people, you gotta put it in context. No, he wasn't there. He was able to talk to her at the time. So this is what I'm saying. He's using scripture to suit him because he know that most women don't know scripture. But this is the grip. But go ahead, L.A.R., because it's gonna get real good.
We're just gonna get into some of this topic because these are gonna take too long. I'm gonna tell you that now, just for the record. So for y'all who never read that scripture, two things went on. One, this is what happens when you get people who don't have reading comprehension. Because that chapter in that verse basically says that her and the serpent were talking together. It never said that Adam was there with her when she was talking to the serpent. Even when you was a child and they had the story, he wasn't there. Once she ate the fruit, then she gave it to him and he ate it.
That's right.
It wasn't a story that they all were standing there and going in an agreement with that. That's not what happened. So this has nothing to do with the male-female part of the religious part. It just has something to do with reading comprehension. And the reason why I got to put reading comprehension into this thing is because this is what people do all the time that's trying to hustle somebody. He took the very last sentence in that stanza and said, oh, with. That means he was there the whole time when I skipped the other 5 verses.
It's like, no, you get away with it.
Yeah, you just because you slow don't mean I'm slow.
Let's keep going. Because let's go past this part. Watch. It's because when it get real good, I'm gonna get. Oh man, I'm gonna get him, man. I watched this whole thing today, man. It's crazy. Just a little bit past this part, the religious part.
With her, and then dined with her husband.
That's not what it says.
Listen. That is what happened in the word.
Man.
He wants to, and here's the beautiful part about this, is that he's so stuck on pandering.
Oh man.
He's so stuck. And here's the beautiful part about this, is that regardless of what man that you have, regardless of your covering, he's going to suffer no matter what. He has to pay the price. Men today understand that regardless of whether or not my mic is going in and out, or is it just my headphones?
Just your headphones.
Regardless of whether or not we get you impregnated or not, we still have to be responsible for that. We go to jail regardless of if we want to take care of that kid or not. If we decide that we don't want to pay child support, even if it's not your child, a woman can put your name on the birth certificate and you will be imprisoned as a result of it. That is just the facts. It's men every single day that go to jail for things that they didn't do. They get accused of things that they didn't do every single day, meaning that men by default, even back in the word of God, is held accountable for the things that their wife do. But it doesn't absolve the woman from being responsible from her
praises
own
be to the Most
decisions.
High. All
It
praises.
does not.
All
It does not
praises.
absolve her at all.
All
And that's the part of the context that we missing. We always want to put it on the men,
Oh.
and justifiably so, because men have to be responsible. And you've never seen how great a society is without men being great themselves. But we don't live in that time.
All praises. Now,
We
can I
don't
want
live
to
in that
finish what I
time.
was saying about?
But I'm gonna let him. I'm gonna let him finish.
Thank you so
Let's
much,
go ahead
brother.
and get it. Let's go ahead.
Thank you
Go
so
ahead,
much.
Yada.
Thank you so much. From Genesis, chapter 3, verse 1 through 6.
He just read it.
Listen to me, please. May I speak? That's
You're
feminine,
right. I'm
brother.
sorry.
I
You're right.
appreciate you so much. Genesis, chapter 3. You read
1
it.
through 6.
Yes,
1
sir.
through 6,
that was,
right?
That was 1 through
Yep.
6. Yes, sir.
Did
It's breaking up.
it say that Eve walked down the street?
No.
This- Say she ran around the corner?
Is it mine? Is it breaking?
The screen?
He didn't say
Can
he
we
was right
place it
next to her.
again?
And
Can we
Gabe-
place?
He said
hold on.
that she
Antoine,
talked
hold
to the
on for 1
serpent
minute,
by
brother.
herself.
1 minute,
he
brother.
was not there.
Brother, 1 minute, brother.
So check
please.
it out. I got it. It says, and Gabe also she took
Also,
she took
Also,
of the
thank
fruit,
you. Brother.
she
Thank
took
you.
of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also
Thank
unto
you.
her husband with her.
so you're going to ignore
and
also?
With her.
he did
You're going to
eat.
ignore also?
Can you read it again? Because some I don't know. If,
I didn't see
where
anywhere.
English from.
I didn't see anywhere in that
Where'd you
scripture
learn your English?
where it said that
Okay,
Adam was
let me
there
finish,
while
brother.
she was having a
Let me finish.
conversation.
I
and when
understand
she
you don't
picked-
like to be
and when
proven
she
wrong. I
picked the
got
fruit
you.
off
Oh,
of the
we
tree.
gotta
I got
have,
you.
we gotta have
I
one
didn't
mic.
see that.
We
Yeah.
gotta have one mic, guys. Just so
Hey,
we gotta get
L.A.R.
this is what we gotta get.
Push it up like 5 minutes. Push it up like 5 minutes for me. At least 5 minutes. We got to echo. Let me see. I don't have a window open. Yeah, at least 5 minutes from here. And then we let it ride out.
A lot of people don't know this, but the best way to prevent
Oh,
divorce,
commercials.
stop separation, and win your wife back is not talking about your problem.
The story of Genesis was brought up here as a way for us to go to be honest, I damn forgot why the hell we went here.
Well, it's about responsibility. That's what it's about.
It was
That's the conversation. It's about
responsibility.
responsibility.
But see, I think this is really important because what we're trying to really nail down at this point is the concept of true providership.
Right.
And what does providership properly look like? Because I think 100%
Here
of
we
the
go. Here we
bills
go.
is really when we is related to the conversation of men being providers and what does it look like
Right.
for men to properly provide.
And essentially, when does a man qualify for a relationship?
Here
when
we go.
does-
Elliot. Here we
And see,
go.
that's a really great question because my man Yada said a man is always providing 100%, whereas Anton here says it depends on the relationship itself.
It depends on the circumstances. It depends on a lot of things. It's not just a relationship.
Okay. Hold tight.
Okay.
Before you get into that question, I want to read some
Let's do
super
it.
chats. We told the initiates that we was gonna read the super chat. Shout out to Raphael Williams, says Yada on that grift. He even brought his goof troop female posse to back him up. Y'all are trolls. Shout out to Kimberly Moore, says read 1 Timothy chapter 2 verse 13 through 14. And shout out to Joanne. She says, Yada, I want to ask you how to get any woman respect and submission.
Hold off on
And I
all
gotta
questions.
change these up,
Hold off
guys.
on all
Listen, y'all gotta
questions right
spell check these super chats because y'all gonna have me up here sounding
Let's just
crazy.
start to get
And continue to make sure to
30
send those. And I'm
minutes.
gonna drop
It's
a poll
crazy.
right here
It's
because
making
the
crazy.
conversation is should men pay 100% of the bills. So I'm getting ready to drop that poll to see what the initiates think. And I think Tyshawn, you wanted to follow up with a question real fast.
Absolutely. I think Yada, we talked about this
Over
yesterday.
4,000
live.
people in the chat.
I think it's really important for us to give context to the brother who is on the come up because I know a lot of myself of brothers at different levels. I have a vast friend group here in Atlanta.
What? You muted. You muted, L.A.R.
Me, yeah, I'm muted. So yeah, I'm back. So we gonna get to the cliff notes of this because we like 30 minutes in and ain't really said nothing.
Yeah.
So
Well, it starts now. That's where it starts to heat up right now. Because this is the part where they ask about the 50-50 and about what the man's responsibility is to a woman. So it heats up right here.
right, so let's just get into what they said.
All right.
Let's just
All
get into what they said.
Y'all
You
got
know-
excuses. We didn't have the timestamps when we started, so we kind of janky for a second.
Absolutely. So Anton was talking more so the 100% 50-50 thing is really dependent on the situation you in. And fast forward into the part that people need to have character. It ain't just about money all the time. You gotta know somebody has character. If I'm not mistaken, Yada was more, you're not a man per se if you don't do everything.
Yes.
So this is where, we have to break down actual realistic stuff in life. Let's be honest. Yada didn't have everything together as a man.
No. Well, let's let them hear what Yada say.
No, because it's gonna take too long, man.
No, it's great. He great do it now. He great do it right now.
All right. Now, if this going for 10
no, it's not
minutes, that ain't right now.
No, it's not. It's not now. They warmed up now.
And brothers from a financial perspective, they've already made it. And other brothers who are really ambitious, they're in masterminds, they're investing in themselves, but they have not really quite arrived at that place where they feel in this economy that they can really provide for the family at the level that they want, at the vision that they want. But they also may still have a lady that they love or that they're building with. Mm-hmm. Is it a good idea? Because I really want to give the men some game here. Should men take on a woman that they feel like they love and is an asset before he is capable and ready to 100% provide?
What do you mean by, let me ask just a little bit more concept.
Yeah.
What do you mean by is an asset?
Well, he feels like she has the qualities of a good wife.
Because I believe that every woman can be an asset, but I'm wondering, in the context of your question, what do you mean by that?
As she has the qualities to become a wife and his long-term partner that he can build with.
So it's a woman that I'm assuming the woman that a gentleman is serious about.
Absolutely.
Should he take her on if he can't quite provide 100%?
Should he jump into this? Okay, I'm just gonna summarize it because I'm a C student. I'm slow. He's smarter than me. Should he get into a relationship with this woman even though he can't provide 100%? Is that
100%? Yes.
Okay. All right, I got you. Is that a question for me?
Actually, how about this? I want to actually hear from Yada on this one because I'm not sure who's
because I think we're trying to clarify: is it should that be the goal to pay 100%, or should that be the standard even prior to getting into a relationship?
Okay. You're saying should it be the goal or the standard? What do you mean? Break it down a little bit.
So you
break it down a little bit for me.
So go ahead, Ty. Because I want to make sure we ask the same question.
Because I don't want to change the question. I want to make sure we're clear on the question. The question is simply, if we have a brother who is not ready to 100% provide at this point in his life and time, should he seriously be looking to pursue, marry, and build with a woman?
No. Can I ask one more question?
Yes.
Or let me just add one more piece of context. Okay. Does it matter how old he is? How old is this guy that's asking this question? Because if you're 40, I think it's a completely different conversation.
Okay.
Than if you're 20.
Well let's say between 30 and 40.
Give me the context on the different age groups. You can wrap that all into your answer when you contextualize your response.
Let him go.
I believe that, again, I think that if you're 20, marriage it's a multi-purpose construct, right? It's not just for love. I look at marriage as a business also. As a matter of fact, I also look at marriage as a business first. It doesn't mean that it absolves you from love, but I absolutely look at it as a business. On top of that, it's also supposed to prevent you from sinning, right? One of the things that I advocate against is people doing married people things without, and again, you got to come from the perspective that I look at this through the lens of a Christian, right? So I'm saying that a lot of times people want to jump head first into sex out of wedlock, children out of wedlock, so on and so forth. And I believe that absolves you from that. And it also gives you a greater purpose and responsibility because you now have to shepherd over somebody other than yourself. And generally, especially men, you're supposed to care people around you. And that's why even when it's all for something, or even when you're trying to be successful, they tell you to think about somebody other than yourself, because sometimes if you do it just for you, you won't care. But if you're doing it for your daughter, if you're doing it for your son, if you're doing it for people that's outside of you, even your mother or your father, when you add people into that equation, a lot of times you'll be a lot more purposeful and you'll be a lot more dedicated, consistent, and so on and so forth. So if you're solving for sin, if you're solving for also wanting to be successful, but understanding that it's an exchange for strengths for weaknesses, because it's not just one way, right? Women do add value into the conversation, and you 20, 21, 22, 23 years old, you're supposed to be broke. Relatively, I mean, compared to what me and him have, you're supposed to be broke. You're not going to be making 200, 300, 400, $1 million, $2 million a year. That's just a fact, unless you're doing something that you're not supposed to do. So at that age, I absolutely advocate for people to get married. And I also believe that it's best for people that have less resources to get married, because it's a quicker way to build wealth. The goal ultimately should always be to where you can release her from doing the things that normal women would do that are single, as far as having to provide and protect for themselves. But at the same time, I also think that there's nuance in that, because if you're in a relationship with somebody that's early in there and you got it from scratch, I think that she has equity in what you do. If you're a 40, 50-year-old man, I think you need to probably get yourself together before you decide that you want to bring a woman into your space and you can't provide. And that's the context. I think that when you're older, if you've been playing video games and you've been doing the same thing over and over again and you don't have the results, you need to go and study your word. You need to get in your Bible. You need to dedicate yourself. You need to get a coach. You need to figure out what life is like. So at that point, I don't think that you should be in a relationship.
So context, just so I understand, a man between his 20s and I guess between 20 and 30, it's fine for him to not be able to provide 100% because he's building with his lady. As a man gets 40.
And here's the rest of the context though, because I think that in society, and we live in this social media culture, that everybody thinks that you're supposed to live in a mansion. Everybody thinks that you're supposed to have a high-rise condo, right? You can provide 100%, especially if you have children, but are you willing to lower your lifestyle in order to build successfully and then add value into the assets that will ultimately make you rich in the future, right? So it's so much nuance. There's so much context to this. And it depends on where you're at in your life. It depends on what you're studying. It depends on what your family structure is like. It depends on if you come from money and resources, right? All of those things matter. And I think that there is no one right answer. It depends on the circumstance, and everybody's circumstance is different.
There we have it. Okay, Yada, we're gonna give you a chance to respond here.
I love the way you articulate himself. It's very beautiful. But being well-traveled.
What the hell? And what the commercial?
Men provide 100% without having so much. And like the brother said, as long as they're staying within their standards. I don't think a man should get into a relationship with a woman until he knows he's able to handle all responsibilities by himself, just in case that woman leaves him. Because if you're in a relationship with a woman and you're living with a woman and she's paying half and you're paying half and she leaves you, what are you gonna do? Lose everything you have, your car, your home? A man has to be able to provide for himself and another comfortably before he entertains a woman. But not just speaking on the financial part, a man needs to make sure he's spiritually whole, mentally whole, emotionally whole. Because if he's coming from America and coming from certain backgrounds, majority of the time they're scarred. Even if they were raised in a home with two parents, they're scarred and they're battling some form of childhood trauma. And men, we get so caught up in our ego and our pride, we tend to bleed on the person that's right next to us, forgetting this person's on our team. Now we're stressed out because we can't pay the bills like we should. She's fussing at us. Now what we do? We drinking more, we smoking more, we're trying to run away from the truth. We're trying to run away from our children. Brothers, if you're listening to me and you didn't have the proper father in your life, please, I beg you, take care of yourself, love yourself, provide for yourself. Spend the first 5 years of your adulthood working on becoming the man that you need to be so you can get the woman you want and not the woman you settled for. Because a lot of men are getting into relationships with women they're settling for because they can't get the woman that they truly want. Now they're misusing this woman, abusing this woman. Children come, they leave this woman. Most men that leave women because they weren't properly good with them. They didn't love them. They couldn't connect to them on all levels. They got a woman that took them at the level which they were on, and the woman that they truly wanted, they're not going to look at them. So all I'm saying to my brothers, and I love what Antoine, I don't disagree when he said family is business. No, man, I for sure, it's business. But brothers, please take care of yourself mentally, emotionally.
Right there. Marriage. Let me say something. Let me just say this coming from a biblical perspective, because I hear people say that marriage is a business. And when you say marriage is a business, what are you basing that on? Based off of Western philosophy under this system? Because marriage is a covenant with God. Marriage is a covenant that you make with God unto each other. So it's done for the glory of God. So when we understand God's commandments and we understand who we are in the Holy Spirit, you're in a different place. So when I hear people say marriage is a business, well, we know businesses are corrupted. We dealing with money and the ways of the world. So is marriage worldly, L.A.R., or is marriage a spiritual covenant with God? So I hear people say this a lot. And I heard both of these guys say this, and they're coming from the perspective of money. But a lot of our grandparents was married for 40, 50 years. They didn't have two nickels to rub together. But what they had was each other. What they had was faith. What they had was sacrifice and commitment to each other. So the business is in the sacrifice. The business is in the covenant that you have when, as a man, when you serve God and you serve God the right way, you can properly serve your wife. So go ahead.
So let me get to this part. This is America. America is a capitalist society. So God and America are two different things. Even in the law, separate church and state. So you can be both. You can be married under the covenant of God, but in the business of marriage in America, because in America, marriage is a business.
Mm-hmm.
So, but here's the other thing. People ain't following God and people ain't following the law properly. So
Thank you.
It's just whatever you want it to be when you want it to be, when you see fit that you can get whatever you want out of the situation. So for me as a person, I look at this stuff like nobody wants to be completely honest. And when I'm saying completely honest, when you said people like back in the day, nobody wants to be back in the day. Nobody wants to be their grandparents and great grandparents. Nobody wants to, quote unquote, go through the ups and downs and struggles of life of their grandparents and great grandparents. So people want easy street. So if it ain't easy street, it ain't good. That's what's been going on in America. That's what's going on right now where we're at. If it ain't easy, that's cool. If it ain't easy, it ain't good. So this is my issue with this whole little concept. And part of me talking about us talking about this breaking down the Black community is people aren't living in reality. Like one of the things that gets me about the religious talk in general is people act like they are really following the word. They're not. Because most people don't know it. And even some of the people that know it, sometimes it's out of context with them. And the people who know a little bit use it out of context for themselves. So that's one thing. On the other thing, like what Yada was talking about, let's just be completely honest. Once again, it's these narratives. Why do people have all of these negative narratives? Because once again, people don't want to deal with the truth. The truth is a lot of people nowadays are worried about what they can get out of a relationship and not what they could give to a relationship. This is why we're having all these 50-50 and 100% talk, because you want somebody to give everything and somebody to give nothing. And if a person gives half, that's too much. So now this is where we're at in our society, where you actually think it's a good relationship to not actually contribute. That's a horrible relationship.
And people say a covenant is a contract, but no. The contract, a business or a contract that they use in the worldly perspective is not the covenant that you have with God. That's a lifelong covenant. These contracts are broken all the time because it's not spiritually bound. You're not evenly yoked. This is based off of vanity and what you can do for a person. It's not based in the spirit. So that's why I don't like when people invoke the spirituality part in these type of conversations, because they're not living by it. It sounds good. And these talking points, me being a hardcore pro-Black, I'm all out of breath because I just ran up the steps. A lot of these talking points L.A.R. is used to lure women in, because men, some men know, grifters know, when a man can invoke spirituality and invoke scripture, women tend to get turned on by that because they see that as a form of power. So this is like it's playing the game. So he gonna play some more. Watch as he go with, because he's gonna get excited.
No, we finna just get into this because these niggas this is long-winded. They wasted 7 minutes saying absolutely a little bit.
He going in now though.
They're not going in now. This is where me and you differ. I don't like listening to all this pro-Black rhetoric because it takes too long.
Yeah, well,
it takes forever.
On this part, he going in. He is going in on this part. He gonna go in on this part. He gonna go in on men. And what's gonna happen is, he gonna talk about the fathers not being in the home. And Anton Daniels gonna call him on that. Like, why you didn't mention the moms? Why you didn't?
And it's gonna take another 5 minutes, y'all. Watch it.
Watch.
Okay.
Financially, make sure you're talking to counselors. Make sure you're dealing with childhood trauma, especially if you were raised in homes with abusive fathers, either verbally abusive, emotionally abusive, or physically abusive, or you didn't have a father whatsoever. Spend this time in your adulthood loving on yourself, protecting yourself, leading yourself, and guiding yourself. So when you do find a woman that you love, you don't break her. Women can't endure what we endure. They can't do it. And when a man is building on the come up, we pour so much hurt onto our women because men get stressed out. When we trying to build, we get stressed out. To get to where me and Antoine's at, we put a lot of work in, and it came with a lot of pain. It wasn't peaches and creams and kumbayas. It's, oh, I gotta figure this out. Oh, what's going on? And sometimes the woman right next to us gets this attitude, gets this aggression, not because we don't love them, but they're right next to us. So we're bleeding on them without meaning to, and we're blessed to have women, because I believe your wife was with you when you come up, right?
Absolutely. I've known her since high school.
They were able to endure the men till we got to this level, because I wasn't this man 10, 20 years ago. But I had to go through so much to become this man, from trial and error. And I'm just blessed to have a woman that was able to endure it. A lot of women don't have the endurance for that. And a man should never bleed on his woman if he says he loves her. Brothers, please heal yourselves first, and then get into a relationship with a woman.
There you have. So we got, man, Anton, you was right, because it's not about to be 2 hours.
It's about to be a full
I got a question.
Okay, we can get this question going, and then we'll get to the next round.
Questions. Number one, I wonder why he didn't say men that also have abusive mothers, because he said abusive fathers. He didn't say abusive mothers also, right? Because again, he never holds women accountable for the decisions that they make. That's number one. And number two, and I don't want to make this personal, but my question is, how many women have you bled on prior to actually finding yourself?
How many women have bled on?
Yeah, according to the context that you said a lot of times
from the age I started talking to women, 16, 15, I bled. Trial and error. Like God really took me on a journey of learning myself, figuring out how to love myself, express, build financial wealth with nobody to guide me. I built financial wealth. I'm the first multi-millionaire in my family, and I'm the first to take care of my whole family by myself, every member of my family.
This is where we about to go. I want, and what I'm about to say is, I'm finna set this one in this direction. For some of you black men, even in the pro-black community, but also you black men who are in the church community or in the feminism community, just because you fucked up don't mean every black man is fucked up. Just because you was on bullshit don't mean every black man was on bullshit. See, what a lot of you cats do, y'all get on social media and say, because I was an asshole, every black man ever was an asshole. It's like, no, bro, that was you. and guess what? Black men that you knew when you was a teenager, when you was a young adult, when you was a grown man, told you was an asshole and you wasn't being a stand-up man. But y'all forget all of that because you're trying to push a narrative. And us as a community, we need to stop playing into that game. Like, it's all of this suffering. A lot of y'all ain't suffering like that. I'm done on that.
See, what happens is this, man. What I've learned coming online and talking to people from all over the country and learning people outside of the communities that I grew up in, you find out that the black community is not a monolith, and we come from all different kinds of places, right? So you have all different kinds of thought processes, L.A.R, from a black perspective. And one thing I've learned, and what I see, the black church, a lot of these pro-black groups, and some of these black men online, they're not used to criticizing black women. They're not used to calling black women out on their stuff. See, because everything that he said about, I bled on my woman, I did this. What happens is, in our community today, we have a whole community of women that don't see fault in things they do because they're never held accountable. It's always to the brother. But I'm gonna tell some of you women out there that may be watching this. You have to be spiritually bounded too and know who you are. If I'm a man and I'm leveling myself up to be the best version of myself, that don't mean that you're evenly yoked to be with me, because you ain't right. You ain't found happiness within yourself. It's not my job to make you happy. You have to find the happiness within yourself. You have to also clean yourself up, because you might bleed on to me. A lot of women out here been molested. A lot of women out here is fatherless. A lot of women out here been through all kinds of stuff. See, he's not going to come out here until he's called on it and speak to that. Because to speak to that now will have to make women look at themselves. See, right now, all the women is championing him. Yeah, you got to be better men. Yeah, you got to be this. But this is the question that I want to ask, L.A.R. What I said to you on the phone yesterday. The brother Yada talking now, and not even use Anton, because I wanted to debate Anton. And I asked this question to the 83 people watching right now. In our communities that we come from, on a large scale, what is the expectations of a black man and a black boy in the communities that we come from? How high is his bar set? Are black boys even raised to meet the standards that this man is even talking about? And when we know the answer to that on a large scale is no. But he'll get up here and grip and say, well, this man needs to do this. Well, who's teaching the man? Who's teaching these boys and to men to meet these standards? Because last time I checked, they got a mom and a father. And this is the irresponsibility of these conversations that we have that I've been talking about for years. But I'll yield so we can listen to him say some more weirdo stuff.
Man, I ain't listening to him say nothing else for a minute. This is one of the things we got to talk about just as a community. A lot of what we have now is a lack of context. See, a lot of y'all are talking as if y'all was living in the 60s, 70s, 80s about what was going on in those times because your grandparents might be dead. So you can blame stuff on them that you really didn't have to deal with yourself. So part of where I'm going with this is this. The black community that we live in and the black community that y'all put on these podcasts is not the same community. It's not. See, a lot of y'all want to say that y'all, let's go with the deadbeat dad thing. Y'all didn't grow up really in that generation. What a lot of y'all grew up in is the kids who didn't want to be around their dad, whether it was their mom saying it or you just want to be rebellious because your dad might make you do stuff like clean your room and get a job and work. See, a lot of y'all want to put that in the abandonment category. The same thing about the young ladies that was touched. There was young ladies that was touched in the community, but that went down. That went extremely down compared to what they complained about back in the day. What was going on with a lot of y'all is a lot of y'all just overly sexual, and y'all started having sex early, and then after the fact, when you started getting in trouble, you turned into a little white girl back in the day and said something happened. That's what went on. That's what's been going on now. So a lot of y'all issues that y'all having, whether they be mental or trauma, this isn't what the world did to you. A lot of this stuff now is self-inflicted. And I can't have sympathy for you in the black community talking about what the black community did when they didn't do nothing to you when you did it to yourself. Mm-hmm. That's not trauma. Mm-hmm. That's
what?
No, go ahead. You got it.
I think something that I've been talking about for years on my channel. Even with Anton, right, with his perspective from a biblical perspective, Anton was raised in a house with both his parents. He was raised, like he always talked about, he was raised with structure. He's seen them be married for 30, 40 years. Like he had that as his template, his aunts and his uncles. In our communities, like Philadelphia on my block, right? Me and my wife been married 23 years. My son, all he knows is his mom and dad. That's all he know, L.A.R. That's his structure. But outside on my block, there's only 3 married couples on a whole block, an East Coast block. So most of these kids is growing up, they don't see the structure of a man inside the house. So I ask this question all the time and I don't get the answer. And I say, listen, from my observation as a black man growing up in the black community, what is the expectations of a black boy? And when we get on here, when people get on here and they speak this way, the first question I ask him and Anton, well, are black boys raised to meet the standards that you guys are talking about? Do most black boys even understand what it is to be a leader? Because a lot of times they never even seen a father in leadership positions. A lot of times I'll land here. A lot of times we learn on the fly as we go along. Like even for me, I had my dad, but I learned how to be married by being married. I wasn't prepared. I was never prepared to be a husband. But I land there.
Here's what I find interesting. What is expected for black boys is Super Bowl or bust. Either you become a millionaire or you're nothing. Either you save the family or you're nobody. So when I look at it in that context, I look at it as this. There is no context for black boys because even in that context, you got to do something for everybody else.
Yes.
And all of these people ain't doing, and most of the time, these people aren't doing anything for you. So this is why we have this issue where some people leave the community and never come back, and some people stay. And they say, the people that left don't want to come back and invest. And it's like, yeah, because they were on Super Bowl or bust. And guess what? If they did all the work to get to the Super Bowl and all you did was you kept showing up, they got tired of you. because you wasn't helping along the way. You was putting. See, people don't want to say, and this goes to black boys all the way to black men. What a lot of people are doing is, I want to put my life on your shoulders. Who cares about your life? Your job is to put my life on your shoulders and carry me to the finish line. And what we're not saying is, a lot of times you got too many adults playing that game.
Hey, L.A.R, stay right there. What you just said was important. Stay right there. You know why I asked that question? Because even from the days of the manosphere on the Sunday Rumbles, right? And I would hear like the manosphere arguments. I would hear the pro-black arguments. The one question that's never asked, and that's why I asked that question, and I like your answer you gave. Nobody ever asked, what is the expectations of a black boy? And see, what happens is this. When you have Anton Daniels' perspective and you have Yada's perspective, I'm in the middle and I'm saying, well, wait a minute, Anton, I hear your perspective, but most boys don't grow up with that perspective. We grew up in a situation of dire straits, Super Bowl or bust. It's in a position of panic, not where I'm being raised to meet those expectations. I'm not being taught, because I'm a firm believer. This is what I teach. I'm a firm believer from the time a boy is born, from the time he comes out of the womb, like my son, I'm training him into manhood. I don't wait till he become a man to teach him to be a man. He's growing up with dad, and I'm teaching him every day the aspects of sacrifice, commitment. If young boys don't have that growing up because the parents were fuck ups, right? How can you expect him to meet any of these guys' expectations of what they're talking about? So the whole thing is already flawed to me.
Yeah.
Because go ahead.
But that, like, okay, let me add a little bit more of this context. There's a hypocrisy in this, because there's an expectation of the community to do things for girls. Mm-hmm. So boys can see, well, the community has expectations of what you should do to make sure girls get on a certain level, but there's no expectation to put boys in a certain position. And all the boys got to get it out the mud, regardless. And see, here's where we don't want to be completely honest. We don't care about the boys enough to help them. That's what the reality has always been. We don't care about the boys enough to help them. Because if you wanted to help them, you would have a certain responsibility to what's right and what's wrong. If I'm doing this, it's the right thing for this young boy. If I'm doing that, it's the wrong thing. That doesn't exist anymore. It's like we have a vulture mentality when it comes to raising boys. The other context that people leave that doesn't come up enough is also a lot of boys rebel because they don't want to deal with the pressure.
Yes.
See, a lot of y'all think, right, but it's too, you putting pressure on preteens and teenagers that belongs on adults, and you're telling them that's what it takes to be a man. And in the biblical sense, they said, that's not even a biblical thing, but the quote of, give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day, but teach him how to fish, he'll feed for a lifetime. You got people who've been given fish try to turn these little boys into fishermen for them. So it's completely backwards. You ain't even teaching him how to fish. You want him to go figure it out for you.
The hypocrisy. Go ahead, finish.
You got it.
The hypocrisy of it all is, in both of these contexts of both of the conversations, both of the arguments, the expectations that the community has on black boys, he's not invested in or raised up to even meet those expectations. This is why a lot of times he can't handle the pressure and he either leaves or he succumbs to the pressure of the community. And when he succumbs to the pressure of the community, you get a red pill. A bunch of young men are angry, upset, rebelling, everything, because what is the template or the structure in our community that's raising these boys up to meet the expectations that the community will have in him or a leader? Because you'll hear women and men say, well, black men need to lead. And I'm saying, well, wait a minute. I work with children. I have an organization with 57 boys in it. And I'm saying, well, wait, most L.A.R, most of these boys never even believed that it was a such thing as black doctors. Like, their thought process is so warped because I got to go back in. Like, I'm literally a father to 57 children, boys, because they don't have none. A lot of things that I talk about, little necessities. They don't understand. So when I hear people come out here, they say, and then you have young men that do, watch this. Then you have young men out here that do understand, that was raised to meet those expectations. You know what happens? The community ain't ready for him. They call him toxic, or they call him corny. So he leaves.
Absolutely.
So in these conversations, the one thing that disappointed me in this debate, this whole 2.5 hour debate, the one thing that disappointed me as a black man was neither one of these guys asked what is the expectation of a black boy being raised into a man, is he even raised to meet the standards that either one of these two guys are talking about?
I'm gonna say something that both of these guys represent, in my opinion. People don't like Anton's arrogance.
Right.
And for me, I understand people don't like his arrogance. It might not even be arrogance, and this is why I say what I'm saying. Because Anton comes off as a guy who I did all the right things the right way. So I don't want to hear your bullshit story about why you had to do it the wrong way. Because you didn't have to do it. You chose to do it. He from Detroit. So don't tell me you was raised in the hood. He ain't trying to hear that. You get what I'm saying? He didn't come from a single quote unquote mother household. But here's one thing I do know, just a caveat. Everybody who in the hood that came from a single mother household was not undisciplined. We knew the difference with people who chose to be undisciplined and people who were undisciplined. It was two different things. So he knows the ins and outs of, no, player, you was just one of them kids that wanted to get away with shit. And now you want to say it was a traumatic experience. We know the difference. So he could come off as arrogant because I'm sure he got flaws, absolutely. But it looks worse because he's a representation of, the quote unquote corny guy who you left and didn't come back. And he like, look, don't get mad at me because I did it the right way. And these are my results. That's your problem that you did it the wrong way. You should have chose differently. Now on the other side with Yada, and I don't know Yada, you get what I'm saying? I don't know. He strikes me as the opposite. He strikes me as the guy who fucked up a lot young.
Yes.
And then
he talk about it.
Look, I don't even know him, but he just strikes me as the guy who fucked up a lot young. And then when he got it together, I'm on my shit. And a guy like Anton will be like, bruh, you could have been on this 15 years ago if you wasn't such a dumbass.
Yup.
Like, I'm not giving you a pat on the back because you figured it out 15 years later. Like, congratulations that you 15 years behind. Like, what you want me to say to you? You know what I'm saying? So this is a part of our quote unquote community. He said this is where we're at.
I like to know, for me, I like to find the middle ground in the argument, because I look at Anton Daniels as a person, like how you just broke it down, and a person that's saying, you know what, I'm gonna stand on this and I'm gonna hold this accountable, because if I don't, we're not going to change, right? I get that part, right? I get it 100%. My only argument with him would be the same thing I just told to one of my best friends that was just at the house. Everybody is not going to think like you or see the world the way you do. I work with children. There's one kid that I can talk to and he might get it right away. This other kid, I might have to work with him for 6 months for him to get it, because I don't know how far along or gone he is. So everybody's not going to be on a long side with Anton Daniels because they didn't come up like that. They're not going to get it right the first time. I was more on the Yada side. I was a fuck up for a long time until I got it right. But the difference where me and Yada part ways is, I'm not going to come up here and just say, well, a man's supposed to do this, and this. When I'm telling Yada, how you telling a man to do something when you yourself wasn't even raised to meet those requirements? You had to go to hell and hot water to understand what manhood was and consequences was before you even got here. So how, when you get here now, you telling a man what he's supposed to be doing, when you know there's a lot of men out here that's like him. They're not where he at yet.
See, that's the middle ground. The middle is forgotten,
right?
In the black community, and especially with the boys, but just in the black community in general, everybody knows who the successful people, and everybody knows the fuck ups, but nobody knows the people in the middle,
right?
So the issue becomes the people in the middle are invisible. our black people that's like in the middle class, they're invisible. And the reason why they're invisible because you ain't successful enough for me to pay attention to you because I don't want to be in the middle. And you ain't a fuck up because the fuck ups get a redemption story. The people in the middle don't get a redemption story. So now the people in the middle are like, man, forget all of this because they don't have the time to deal with either side.
Right.
And you got and if we're gonna be honest about how our community had worked in the past, the successful people helped out the fuck ups more than they did the people in the middle.
Yeah.
So they have a better relationship than the people in the middle. And the people that was fuck ups use the people in the middle to get on their feet.
I think for me, if you ask me, if I didn't know neither one of these guys, right? This is my opinion. I like some of the things Anton Daniel say. I disagree. I don't like a lot of things he do online, right? A lot of his political perspectives and things I'm totally opposed to him, right? But he strikes me as a person that's an elitist. I got mine. Why can't you? And he thinks that everybody would think the way that he do. Now that's not always bad though, because some things that he says is right, but he still strikes me as an arrogant elitist. I'm better than you at times too, right? But that don't mean that he can't say things that's not right. Let's not get that misconstrued, because he can say some things and he can show a level of success coming from Detroit and say, hey, I did it. But his way of doing it sometimes is very arrogant and elitist. The other guy, go ahead.
And I'm gonna push back on that and say this. Yeah. We even though I don't necessarily like sometimes how it comes off.
Right.
We need more elitists like him though. You know why? Because let's just say he's the representation of the cornball elitists. Okay. Right. We have enough guys who are elitists who was good athletes, or elitists who were, let me say, I could reform street niggas. You know, we have or the pastors who become elitists because now God blessed me with a couple of dollars. Now it's a bless. No, we need some people who look like they work a 9-to-5 job and say, yeah, I'm on that level too. You kiss my ass. Because in my opinion, what that has is that's been the black people that people don't look at like, yeah, I work a 9-to-5 and I got more money than y'all. Or I worked a 9-to-5 and I got more money than y'all. I didn't go to the league. Sorry. I didn't get a bag at, hustling. Sorry. You get what I'm saying? I didn't rap. Sorry. I didn't get an inheritance. You get what I'm saying? Like, yo, this is what it is.
I think what will happen is if more people on the Anton Daniel side was more brought together with more of the middle ground group, and we had more of what a black community would look like, it would be different. But because the groups are so separate, you just see people like Anton on the island alone, so it looks arrogant and elitist. Whereas though you might have, if you get us all in the barbershop on a Saturday, right? You might have the homie that made it, that got some paper like Anton, and then his best friend might work for the transportation department, right? And they got the same perspective, but it's disseminated in a different way. And one is made to look arrogant, the other guy is the blue collar guy. So, but the problem is we're separate from each other. So the arguments they seem separate. But when you get this guy to me, two things could be, because I could be wrong about him. He seems like a grifter to me, right? That wants to grift the community. But to me, I came up more on the side of a Yada, right?
Right. Was
a mess up, in and out of prison, doing wrong, doing everything. But when I figured it out and got knowledge of stuff, I never came online. I came online holding men accountable. But I would tell Yada, if he saw this, the minute you go and hold women accountable for one thing, you're gonna lose 50% of your women following. Because what we've created in the black community for so long, because we've been single mother raised for so long, is the woman is infallible and she can do no wrong. So we're used to saying my father ain't shit, my daddy wasn't there, and because of that, boys is used to disrespecting each other because they never been under any form of a lot of them haven't been raised under a form of men leadership. So now when you call out a woman, you know who you get attacked by the most? You know who will attack you the most for calling out a woman in the black community? The Pookies and Ray Rays. Because they're used to thinking it, their authority figures have always been women.
I'm gonna add to that a little bit. What people don't realize, because it's just, for me, it's certain simple things. Entertainers and hustlers and the hoteps, they all have the same schedule in life. They all on the same type of time schedule. The people in the middle class people, they're not on the same schedule as those people. Hustlers got a schedule that is not a 9-to-5 schedule. Hoteps got a schedule that's not a 9-to-5 schedule. The entertainers got a schedule that's not a 9-to-5 schedule. So they can gravitate to each other and be around each other more often because what? Their time is looked at as more free. You get what I'm saying? 9-to-5 people, 9-to-5, you know where they finna be. You know, and some of them, 10 o'clock at night, you know they in the house because they don't have the same schedule. So they don't interact until the weekend. Or it used to be like the barbershop and weekend because they don't move around, they don't move the same.
Right.
So that's one thing that'll never change, because even the athletes know that, because guess who got to take them places? Even when they used back in the day, when they used to gravitate to the hustlers didn't take them to their games. Their parents did. Their family did. The people that was going to work, they didn't pick them up from the games. The family did, because when they got off of work, they went to see you and then they took you home. That was the normal thing. So like this is where we forget, like this is why even online we have two different communities, because they're speaking two different languages.
Thank you. They're not but the problem you have is maybe, well, like I said, I'm diametrically opposed to a lot of Anton Daniels politics. I think he'd be cooning a lot. But I'll say this in defense of him. In our community, and listen, in our hood and our family members, we got a lot of people that talk like Anton Daniels. If you go to the barbershop Saturday, you got a homie you grew up with that talk just like Anton Daniels, and everybody think he crazy. Am I lying?
No. And the crazy part about it is, let me say this. The reason why people don't like the Anton types, and the reason why it becomes a problem, is because of the words "I told you so." Because he the type to tell you, "I told your ass already." Now you want to get it together. Hold up for a second.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Is sometimes play a little bit more of it. Because this is right here where they going back and forth. This right here, and then let's elaborate more.
Family, I provide for it. So, brother, yes, coming from where I come from, majority of the people in my neighborhood were either raised by their mothers, their grandmothers, their aunties. So when the brother is speaking, and I know he said he was raised in a household with his mother and his father, man, I salute that.
Oh, so you have studied?
No.
I didn't say that today.
No. We last had an interview when you came on the what was that?
Virtual.
You mentioned that. I just don't forget. I love you, brother.
No, that's dope. I'm glad you paid attention to what I'm saying.
That was beautiful, because I was like, wow, that's amazing to see a black man say he had his mother and his father. But coming from where I come from, that's not the norm. So the men he's speaking to and the men I'm speaking to the majority. You're speaking to men that's coming out of households with fathers and mothers. I'm speaking to men that literally had to teach themselves how to be men, how to urinate. Shake it once, shake it 3 times, and playing with it. There's no man guiding a man and telling a man to do that. So I'm telling the brothers that's coming from where I'm coming from, brothers, heal. Your father, he might have been going through some things. You don't know. Heal. If your mother was abusive, because it happens. It does happen. Heal. That's the topic, brother. Heal yourself before you entertain a woman, or you will bleed on everybody. Because it's hard when you finally meet a woman that loves you and you're just gushing out blood, past relationships, mommy issues, daddy issues, sibling issues. So I just want to tell the young brothers again and the older men, heal. Put the pride, put the ego down and heal. Regardless if it's mommy issues or daddy issues, mommy issues, or both. We have to heal as men so we can become the fathers that we never seen or had. Regardless if we had fathers in our lives, we should become better versions of them. And if we didn't have fathers in our lives, we should strive to do for our children what no man has done for us. And again, I give all praises due to the Most High.
There you have it. Anton, can we go around
No, because we're not just gonna skip past certain things.
Okay.
He says he's speaking to a certain demographic. I'm speaking to people.
So we're coming to the finish line. We're leading in the polls and
He
doing well. But what
He
I
gonna
think
get
that
him
women
good.
and men need to heal
Mhm.
because there's no Captain Save 'em that's going to come into your life and fix the things that you didn't fix yourself. And that's the difference between us. Fundamentally, on a lot of the things that we do agree on, right? We do agree on a lot of things. The problem between him and I is that he doesn't speak to people. I believe that because he understands his audience, he understands his demographic. I think that he slants his words towards always speaking negatively towards men and don't hold women accountable, which is one of the reasons why he purposely left out the abusive mothers also, because we can solve for 99.9% of all men in society today. And guess what? Because of how we are biologically made, 1% of men can populate 90% of all women. So even if all men got themselves together, men could still, certain demographic of men, because it's a false narrative to say and hold, if he's speaking to the majority of men, like he said he was, it's a false narrative to say that the majority of men are out here doing things that they're not supposed to do, holding themselves accountable and getting women pregnant out of wedlock. There's a small minority of men that's populating the majority of these women that's getting them pregnant out of wedlock. And so if you're going to speak to something, then you have to solve for the majority, not the minority. Women are out here choosing for themselves because they have the availability to do so. They having a slut walk. I seen you say on Angela Yee's podcast, you told a woman that said that she was ready to slut it out because she had been abstinent for 2 years and she was ready to have 3 different guys at the same time. And you encouraged her. You said, go ahead, date them all. Date them all.
Yes, I did.
And so that absolves us. When you look at the pool of women that's available to a great man that then dedicated himself, let's say he preserved himself. Let's say he did what he was supposed to do. I'm not going to, in my right mind, tell this guy to go and marry a single baby mama. And I'm not saying that.
We had that conversation.
Okay, all right, we're going to get there. But the point is that, the point is that if you're going to speak to the majority, speak to the majority of the population, not just the majority of men that you think fit under your narrative.
You got it.
This is the problem in the argument. Now we get a chance to see the argument open up. And what you have is, when I thought like Yada at one time, I thought that the world revolved around the world I was living in. So growing up in Philly on the block, I saw married couples, but I saw more non-married couples than married couples. And then I went out in the streets selling dope, shootouts, dropping seeds in women, running wild, doing all kinds of stuff, abusing women, just doing everything, right? So in my mind, that was the world that I lived in. And when I spoke from that perspective. My best friend, when he spoke, he had his mom and dad all his life. He was kind of like Anton Daniels. Now, he's a high six-figure earner down in Washington, D.C. as an accountant, right? For a major company, right? And he speaks just like Anton, but from a pro-black perspective. He's super hardcore pro-black, but he's a highly successful black man, right? Black wife, all that kind of stuff. But it took me a long time to be able to get back to seeing the world outside of the world that I was, the dysfunction world I grew up in. So when Yada's speaking, if you listen to him, he's speaking to the dysfunctional part of the community. Anton is holding that community accountable and saying, I hear what you're saying, but whatever. I'm not riding with that. No, I don't care. This is what it should be. And I'm going to stand on it. You can hate me or love me, whatever. I'm saying this. So the argument is Yada's trying to be sympathetic to the plight of the people that's coming out of where he came from, where Anton is holding them accountable for even going there in the first place.
I'll say this. And I've said it before. The degenerate or dysfunctional part of Black America got way too much TV time. Yes. They're not the biggest population in our community. I don't even think they're bigger than the successful Black people.
No.
So it's like we got the smallest population who's done a lot of sucker stuff.
They the loudest in the room.
No, they're not even the loudest in the room. It's just people, when people want to give, even because non-Black people do this. When you want to talk about Black people, you pick out the worst of the worst that you could find as an example. And it's like, no, that ain't really us though. So like part of this culture war is we're having an issue with the Black community of we got functional Black America versus dysfunctional Black America.
Yes.
And dysfunctional Black America don't want, like been holding we've been at the front. And it's like, bro, if you don't sit your goofy ass down, because people and I guess I gotta go there, bro. I think people don't realize we're not a hood community like we was 30, 40 years ago.
No, we're not.
So
No.
a lot of people, you know, even when he was talking about the parents and mother situation, I'm gonna just be honest about this. If you and your if stop it, my dog tripping. Go. Go.
No, the dog got an opinion. I think the dog agree with Yada.
Yeah, probably. But the thing about it is, and I'm gonna say this the best way I can. If your mother moved, if you don't live in the same city as your dad, you got to remember, you probably 9 times out of 10, your mom and your dad got together in one city, and you were born in that city, and they both lived there. So if you one of them people that your dad live across town, or your dad live in a different city, or you live in a different city than your dad, and your mama the one left, you wasn't abandoned, bro. She left. That's not, your dad wasn't a deadbeat. Your mom moved from this place to that place, so you didn't see him as much. That's what happened. So, and the reason I said it about, you know, just the relationship part is because people play this game where, and I'm gonna say this to the adults, even to the people who are in the streets and the people who wasn't in the streets. Y'all act like we don't know that when y'all hit a certain age, y'all feel like y'all can run over y'all mama. And y'all chose, and y'all chose to stay in that environment because y'all felt like she couldn't do nothing to you. That goes for the boys and the girls. So the decisions that you made, I don't want to hear that bullshit about it was the music I was listening to. It was, you know, the people I was hanging around. Nope. You got 13, 14, 15 was like, she can't do nothing with me.
Yes.
And you down the path you went down. And then later on, you was like, oh, that was dumb. Because at the same time, you got friends and family members and people you went to school with that was in the exact same situation as you and did the complete opposite.
And I'm gonna tell you, when I hear these arguments, and I know this because I had a great father, put it this way, but my father was the best father he knew how to be. So I grew up with a great father, but I still grew up in some dysfunction, right? I had levels of dysfunction in the household as well. And I when I got married, the first, I would say in 23 years, the first probably L.A.R. 10 years of my marriage was probably toxic, right? On both sides. Because neither one of us was really raised to be a wife or a husband. We learned on the fly. We just stayed together and worked it out until we figured it out, right? And I think what goes on in our community is a lot of people, like the C. Wrights that I grew up with, Mr. Charles and them, the Collins family. A lot of the families are quiet in the community. You don't really see them. They get up and go to work every day, L.A.R. They're not online. They're not there. So they're there. They're around. You know who you hear from the most? The disgruntled women and men who was already dysfunctional and got in dysfunctional relationships and didn't have a clue on how to be married or maintain a relationship. That's who you hear from the most. You hear from, that's what I say, where the dysfunctionality of the Black community is the loudest in the room. And what happens is a person like Yada, right? He speaks to that the same way Brother Polite did. And because you have a large following online of these people, the Cynthia G's, the Brother Polites, they gain a large following of these people. Most of those people are not going to run over to Anton Daniels. You know why? I'm gonna tell you why they don't run over to Anton Daniels. And I found this out with me as well, right? Because, you know, I promote my wife, my children, my grandchildren online. One thing I found out was when I promote family, I would never get a following like Yada because I promote accountability. To come over to where I'm at means you got to clean yourself up. That means you got to be decent. That means you got to act right. I don't care if you're a man, because I'm not pro-Black man or woman. I'm pro-Black people. I'm pro-Black community. What's right? So you can't come over around me as a Black man acting a fool. We don't do that over here. You can't come around me as a Black woman and you unaccountable. So I'm in defense of Anton, even though I disagree with a lot of his politics. They're not going to go around Anton because of what he presents. He presents family and structure. And when you're not full of structure or family oriented, it's not going to mesh. You're not going to go around him. That's why a lot of like you, L.A.R., that's why they don't gravitate towards you. Because when you get on here and you talk, You're talking about accountability and structure.
But I don't care.
So, right,
You know,
right.
listen.
But that's the point I'm making. But the point I'm making is that's why Yada, a Cynthia G, a Paris Milan, these people, they can get that large following because they're catering to that type of audience that don't want accountability.
Exactly. I'm gonna say the exact same thing. Just oh shit, I caught a Charlie horse. Yeah, I'm old.
Yeah, I'm stretching my legs out while I'm talking now.
Yeah, that's the same thing. Like I said earlier with the religious demographic, the quote unquote pro-black or hotep demographic, the feminist demographic, the everybody needs healing demographic. Even the people who have a certain stereotype of Black America, whether if they're in Black America or they're not in Black America, there's this overlaying stereotype that we give unlimited forgiveness. And it's like, I don't know who the hell y'all been hanging out with. Like, I don't know where you get that, because this idea that you could like we act like you could keep fucking over somebody, and because we Black, I'm supposed to give you a hug every time. No, we grew up where I'm gonna knock your ass out. See, now we're at a juncture where people are, and this is, I think this is one of the hardest things that we got to deal with. We're at a juncture where the people who are quote unquote, let's just go hood, the other people in the hood are starting to show up that don't represent the hood in that way. And now you're gonna have this clash, because that's kind of what I mean by with Anton and Yada. See, it's a situation where, and it's a respectful thing, but I know it could go left, where you got the hood guy and the hood corny guy, and they grew up, and they both know ain't nobody gonna get bullied in this situation. You know how it could go. So now that old stereotype of the hood dude who was like more street was like, I'll beat your ass. That went out the window now. Cause now it's like, oh, you can't get the intimidation in, you can't get this. So now we're gonna sit down and chop it up just like this. And we from the same place. So if you think you're gonna take it there, I could take it there too. It's just like I dress different than you. That's pretty much what it is. So now you're seeing that in front of our community face to face. That's like,
because the tough guy shit is nonchalant now. It's going away. The bullies,
exactly.
The big bad bullies,
Exactly.
The gang war dudes that control the communities, that stuff is gone. It's gone now. Like the majority of the gangsters, the real, like you say you from Chicago, I'm from Philly. The real hardcore dudes whose hearts was cold in Minnesota, a lot of them dudes in jail, dead, or they married and they done left the streets. What you got now is a bunch of kids out here running.
Or they strung out.
It's not a bunch of shit. So yeah, so when you hear this type of conversation, like I'm looking at this conversation, I wish I was there, because see, for me, I'll be fair. I understand both sides of the argument. I understand what Yada's trying to say, because I don't come from where Anton Daniels come from. You know who come from where Anton Daniels come from? My son. My son grew up in a middle class family, nice house, community. All his life, he was born in a marriage. All he ever knows is his mom and a dad. My son can relate. I relate more to a Yada because I come from over there. My only issue is I don't like these guys that pander to women because you don't help the community and you don't help these young girls now.
The thing about it is, and I'm gonna say this as far as just the pandering aspect. The reason why it's easy to pander to a lot of these young ladies is because they're looking for somebody to pay all the bills. He's a representation of a guy who saying what they want to hear. Now, for me, and if I'm gonna be 100% honest, he comes off as a scumbag who trying to clean up for some money. You get what I'm saying? So for me, I'm like, but people gotta, and the reason I say what I say is because I pay attention to detail. I don't trust a person that smile when they lying. And I saw him do that multiple times, or try to play it like, oh brother, this is great, this is great. You can't finesse somebody who been around a lot of people like that. So I look at it like, you know, the ladies who get involved with a guy like that, they're that too. The same way, you know, what was the dude that got arrested? Nature Boy. All them girls that was with him, they not victims.
Derek Jackson.
You know, it's the same thing. They're not victims. You get what I'm saying? Brother Polite. They're not victims. They put this stuff out on Front Street, and basically, and I'm gonna use another reference, and I'm gonna make it a little bit more high, quote unquote, highbrow. Cam Newton.
Right.
And the reason why I'm gonna use Cam Newton is because it is. Because Cam Newton could have said what these guys can't say. I got so much money that I could pay you to be a main and a side chick. And I know the type of girl that's willing to take that deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going on. You know what I'm saying? They know, like, oh damn, like people play this game. Like I've been around enough rich guys to know, and the rich guys who are single to know, like, yeah, he got a roster, and they all know he rich, and they all getting a couple of $100 here and there, and they all cool with it. So that's why you pander, because pandering makes money, and then you could trick off to multiple chicks, and they cool with it. But that's got to be a certain type of individual.
Well, hey, listen, right? We're an hour and a half in. Move it up a little bit more. Let's listen to a couple more minutes of it, and then let's speak before we get out of here. Yeah, move it up to like the middle. See where they at. Maybe
you mean like an hour or something in to the thing?
Like an hour. Yeah, go like an hour in. Let's see what they say. Where they at? Who was that? Who the hell was the Turn Apes? Man, get your butt out of here, man. Go ahead, trolling, man. You guys being here, man. How we get trolled?
To be submissive.
Okay.
But I also believe that you should be equally yoked. I'm not going to chase something that's not of me in order to try to convince them or show them that I have the ability.
Back it up just a little bit. I remember this part.
Give some context as well.
Just maybe 2 minutes.
I think that's thrown around.
A lot of guys run out there and they try to win.
This part good, L.A.R. This is good.
And this is why I say, he said, yeah, when you just mentioned, you said a man should have 300,000. Like he said, men should go after a woman with purpose, not to date her, not to sleep with her, not to have children out of wedlock. That's my wife. I'm going to court you for however long, but this is going to end in marriage. And this is why I say a man should provide a woman's every need, because you're going after a woman with purpose. Excuse me, brother. I apologize.
No, I don't believe in dating.
So, and give me context on when you say a man knows his
one
wife.
Thing that he said, one thing that he said, well, he didn't say it specifically, but he used several different examples. One thing that he said previously, when he just spoke, not just to Sam, but previous to that, is he was speaking about submission and how you can inherently, every woman has the ability to be submissive depending on the circumstances that she put in, especially when she's under a certain type of man. I do believe that every woman has the ability to be submissive.
Okay.
But I also believe that you should be equally yoked. I'm not going to chase something that's not of me in order to try to convince them or show them that I have the ability to provide for them to where they can be submissive under me.
Well, give us some context as well to equally yoked, because I think that's thrown around.
A lot of guys run out there and they try to get the thing that's the finest. A lot of guys run out there and a lot of the foundation of their relationship is based off of sex. Like they don't have anything to stand on once they start to have conversations about things that's much deeper than what's on the surface. And so at that point, you realize that you're unequally yoked, but you've already started to join in together as though you were married by doing things that married people do. And so that's the one thing that I think that is nuanced in the conversation, is that we're not talking about being equally yoked, right? A lot of times we say that guys are supposed to take on something that's not for them for the sake of saving a woman from herself. That's not his purpose. That may not even be his wife. But a lot of times we incentivize men to do so because we hearken to the voices of women and what they want. That's not what we are supposed to do. When it comes to the whole of your wife, I believe that women often at times skip over the men that they were supposed to marry. And then they try to have a redemption arc. I believe that men often at times, they ignore the women that is supposed to be for them because they're too busy focused on these women that's for the streets, right? I believe that a lot of times your wife or the person that you're supposed to be with, and we talk about guys that's in the friend zone and stuff a lot of times, but you're supposed to marry your best friend. That's the person that has your best. That's the person that has your best interest at heart. That's the person that wants the best for you. That's the person that absolutely is going to be there through thick and thin. And all the vows that you're going to take, they're already living it. They're a reflection of it. But so many times we're incentivized by the things that's around us, influenced by the things that's around us, especially when we have a young mind, and your mind is not even fully developed until you in your mid 20s. And so a lot of times we used to depend on our culture, we used to depend on our family to help us vet and see things that we couldn't see. But now we're choosing for ourselves. So again, I don't believe in dating. I believe that dating is just a gateway for you to find yourself in situations that you're not supposed to be in. And I believe that you know your wife very, very early. And a lot of times we skip over the person that we're supposed to be with.
So you know what? I get context now. This is why you brought up. So I think this is a difference here because you actually stated when you went to Angela Yee, the young lady was stating, because a lot of women think, ask this question too. They're like, look, I want to date multiple men. You know, that's like a big thing.
I paused it for one major reason. And I'm going to agree with Anton on that. And that goes both ways. But here's the other thing. A lot of people don't want to say in this dating thing, because he said he don't like dating. And I get it. He was married when he was super, in his early 20s or whatever. What people consider dating today is basically, as far as adults, is a bunch of short-term marriages. Two people get together and do married stuff because they trying to benefit off of each other. And then when they get tired of each other, you ain't got a divorce because you ain't really married. You could just break up and move on. That's why a lot of this relationship talk is really responsibility talk. Can you come into my life and pay the bills? Can you come into my life and help me take care of my kids? Can you come into my life and help me fix my credit? Can you come into my life and help me level up? Can you come into my life and be the porn star that I've been looking at in my phone? It has nothing to actually do with actually building a real relationship. It's just people approach it like a mini marriage. And then it's just a mini marriage without having to pay out hefty on the divorce side.
And then what you notice is, L.A.R, the men and the women. The reason why you have a lot of times a lot of the manosphere dudes and the one on the women's side, they want to indulge in that kind of behavior, but don't want to deal with the accountability that comes with
exactly.
Because there's accountability that comes with it. I used to tell my homie, you jumping from bed to bed to bed to bed to bed to different women. Now all these years later, you complaining to me about these baby moms. No, nigga, you get mad at me and don't want to speak to me because I'm not on your side. You did that. That was your fault. Nobody told you to get 4 different women pregnant.
But that's what you get. That's what it is now.
Yeah. So this is what you're dealing with. This is the harvest. The seeds you planted. This is the harvest you reap. But it's too hard for him to understand that.
It was all good. It was all good before they got pregnant. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. So
this is.
Oh, go ahead.
No, my bad. Go ahead. You got it.
Context to what he was saying, because right before Anton went in, Yadis was talking about the purpose of a man is a woman, and Anton said no, the purpose of a man is to serve God, because when he serves God and become the best version of himself, he's better. He's already tailor-made for a woman, because when he's serving God, the right woman for him will come into his life. So, but if you put your eggs where you just serving women and doing everything to a woman, you're out of the realm of God, because it's God, woman, it's God, man, woman, children. So he put it in a perspective of understanding. Yada again was placating to the women.
You know what? I'm gonna push back and say this. Yada isn't just a representation of a panderer, because I've seen this for a minute. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of guys. We from, like, I'm Gen X. I know you Gen X. And there are a lot of guys that differ in this scenario where they really think like women because they was around too many women, and they actually think that's normal. So because when I see it online, there's so many men who the way that they talk is more feminine. Their mindset is more feminine. They may present as a man, in their presentation, but the way that they carry themselves is mama, auntie, sister, grandmama. And part of that is, even as far as men are concerned.
That was me. I was that guy.
And for me, that wasn't a thing. For me, it was like, because I remember back in the day when people called you a mama's boy, and that was fighting words. Because it's like you think like a girl, you act like you really just a mama's boy, you clingy and all that. Like you're not thinking like a guy. So even when he said the purpose of a man is a woman, that's a man who fought against actually being a man.
Well, let me put it. Let me come from a different angle with that. I'm gonna put this on the table for a lot of brothers. For a long time I thought like him, but I'm gonna tell. But yeah, for a long. Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. For a long time I thought like him, and let me put it in perspective. I was a cheater. I did all kinds of things, but you know one thing I was always raised to do in the black community, and this is where I didn't like the term when they say black men don't protect black women. I thought that was a bunch of bullshit. Because in the black community, even when I came online, I wasn't used to hearing black men disrespect and come onto them Sundays at the my jaw spinning. I would come onto the Sunday Rumbles and go to war with black men because I had never heard black men go after black women like that. I was always used to, even though I might have been out cheating all night and everything, when it came to my sisters, my OGs, the OGs taught me that. L.A.R. Always take care of your women. Always make sure they good. Make sure they got what they need. They got a problem. So I understand sometimes the context of where this stuff come from, because I thought like that until I understood that no, women have to have the same account. Women hurt. Man, this joint's spinning. I don't know what's going on.
Just keep going, because it'll fix it if it is spinning on your end on a replay.
Yeah. If I heard a brother going in on a sister, it's doing it too much. Hold on. What? My thing on working right. I was taught to just defend the black woman. I mean, am I off to defend this joint? Crazy. I don't know.
Don't sweat it.
Don't never do this.
Yeah, don't sweat it. As far as defending black women, it became too much. It became too much because we went too far as far as defending. It got to the point where we started defending bullshit because it was a woman. We started defending liars because it was a woman. We started defending cheaters that was a woman. We started defending scammers because they were women. We started defending women who were setting other men up. We started defending people who put people in bad spots. That's where even with the manosphere thing with YouTube came in. What guys are starting to do, even with the accountability, and even when it goes left and they just cussing folks out. The problem became, if right is right and wrong is wrong, we became like white people, where it's only right when white people do it. So now it's only right when women do it. You get what I'm saying? But it's wrong if somebody black do it, and it's wrong if a man do it. And it's like, look, either it's right or it's wrong. It's none of this, in between gray area when I can get my way stuff. So that's where we're at.
It's acting
now.
Bad, L.A.R.
No, it's all good. It'll fix itself in a thing. Because for me, I'm going clear. For you, it might be different. So cool. Don't even sweat it. We're gonna shut it down in a few anyway. It's like almost 2 hours.
Yeah, that was a fast 2 hours too.
That's because them dudes long-winded, man.
Yeah, that was a fast. Play a little bit more. Play a little bit more. Let's get our last sentence on. Move it up just a little bit. Let's move it up.
Oh, now this is a sister saying she's already dated. I said, look,
okay,
date them all until you find what's for you. I didn't say sleep with them all. I didn't say cook for them all. I didn't say do no wifely duties.
But you said you didn't believe in dating.
Hold on, brother. This is a woman that asked me a question.
I know. Well, I seen it.
Right. She said, I'm already dating all, which I did say. You hear me not denying it.
What?
prophet. I just want to say that you need better understanding. You're not ready to have conversations with people on how it is that they're supposed to be operating in a relationship. I'm not even sure that based off of what you saying today, that you're a reflection of what you're advocating for.
What do you mean by that, brother?
Based off of what you saying, you switching up your words depending on who the audience is.
What was I switch up?
You said that you didn't believe in dating.
Right.
Then you told that woman to date them all.
Brother,
word for word.
Brother, can we please play the clip? Because I also said I do not believe in dating.
Now, honestly, I can't even find
I
the
want
clip,
to, but I
man.
cannot
I
find
really
it.
want to as well.
Yeah, somebody drop that clip in the chat. Yeah, somebody drop that clip in the chat.
Somebody go ahead. We're gonna let the people.
Yeah, and that's
on
Yada
that.
on Angela Yee. And at some
Lip
point,
service.
the words were on lip service.
Yes.
At some point, the words were said, date them all. So we're trying to find that clip.
And
And
we-
what specifically was stated.
And also on
during
my
that
IG, I say date them all.
So it's
So why would you say that though?
so
Listen again.
but
Listen again. Can I
Go ahead, let's get it.
can I this? Brother, we have women that have sacrificed so much of their bodies and their minds because they didn't have the proper leadership within the home. And we have to deal with a divine understanding. When I look this way and I'm speaking to the brothers, it's because sometimes when I look into your soul, I see some things that ain't right. But listen to me, brother, because you're talking about God. Listen to me, please.
He was
A
getting
man
into your soul,
That's
L.A.R.
unable to show and prove himself to a woman shouldn't have that woman. This is the laws of nature. Even animals, when it comes to alphas, they'll fight physically to show who deserving of this woman. And that woman goes, or that female species goes with the animal. I'm saying the same thing. Ladies, if this man is unable to provide your every need mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially, he's not deserving of you. And if you hear me say date them all, which I did say, you hear me not denying it, because she's already
Pause on that right there. That is a recipe for disaster. You do not want to be with somebody who has to take care of all your needs physically, mentally, emotionally, financially. And the reason I say that is because that means you're useless to yourself, not even to them. You're useless to you because that means you haven't figured you out mentally and emotionally and spiritually. I could leave the financial part out because some people have a harder road than others. But if you ain't even good for yourself, nothing anybody that can come along and help that. But I'm gonna get back to it. My bad. I had to pause it right there.
man, this brother here. I said date them all because if a man can't show and prove to you, you don't need him. And I believe that wholeheartedly. And I believe that this would save so many women from having dusty bums in their life that they don't need, nor do they deserve that woman. So any man listening, if you truly want that woman, show and prove to her and yourself that you're deserving of that woman. The woman is the greatest gift given to man by God.
No, it's not. And let me correct him. Okay? Never
Okay,
show.
okay, hold on. What do you disagree with?
This is the point right here.
Never have to show and prove yourself to a woman, ever. Never make a woman your God, because that's what you just told him to do. Show and prove yourself to God. That's the only person that you have to answer to. And the thing that he sent as greater than any woman is the Comforter. And the Holy Spirit will guide you, and it will show you your wife, and you don't have to prove yourself to her. The only thing you have to do is be exactly what God ordained you to be, and that's to serve your purpose, and she will follow you, and she will 100% submit herself to you, and on top of that, she will be the helpmeet that God ordained her to be. Never, ever prove yourself to a woman, only prove yourself to God. And the greatest gift was the Comforter. That's what the greatest
When a
gift
man
was.
steps into his divine nature given to him by God, he's a protector, provider, leader, teacher. He walks in the divine attributes of God. This is not me saying, oh, show and prove this. Well, no, show and prove who you are by how you move.
That's not what you said.
No, listen to me, brother. If God has put the man as the head, men be the head.
You got it.
That's not what he said. He said him and Anton saying two totally different things. See, what the guy said was he said you have to be all these different things for a woman. If you don't meet all these criteria, then she don't need your dusty ass. Basically, what he said. The problem I have with that is, and what I would tell a lot of young women, I've been married for 23 years. If you cut me, I bleed. I actually have feelings and emotions. I actually get up and go to work. I like to be lauded and celebrated too. If my wife is not raised up and equipped to be able to deal with me, to deal with my ego and my emotions at times, because behind closed doors, I may get emotional at times with my wife because we're evenly yoked. I should be able to be emotional with my wife. If she, L.A.R, you just got married. She at this point, you've been a married man. Your wife has already have to be ready to deal with your emotions and deal with you emotionally. It may be things that go on within that may happen today, tomorrow, next week, and it may have an emotional pull on you. Your wife has to be able to pull you back together. That's her responsibility. So it can't be just you have to have all these criteria, and then what does she has to have? So if you're evenly yoked, she also have to meet those same standards. Go ahead.
Here's where this is problematic, especially with the religious aspect. For one, I don't know when this happened, but just for the record, women go to hell too.
Thank you.
Biblically speaking, Jezebel goes to hell. Just for the record, Samson, Delilah, that was with Samson. She went to hell. Just for the it wasn't because like there isn't I don't know which Bible y'all reading, but there isn't an exception because God said, "Oh, this is a woman, so she can't go because even though she did all this bad shit, she's a woman. She don't go. None of the women go to hell." That's not how they go. And the reason why I had to say that is because we've entered a space where you think morality stops with one gender. You think character and integrity stops with one gender. You think honesty stops with one gender, and that's not true. And so you can't, what the Bible was basically saying somewhat, even with the story of Adam and Eve. And people make it a gender thing, and I get it. But you got to remember that same devil strolled up on Jesus and said, "Hey man, you ain't got to do this."
Yep.
That's the same devil. That's the same devil rolled up and like, "Hey man, look, man, I got a plan for you." So this idea of choice has always been biblical. Well, God gave you the choice to do right or wrong. We live in a world where we act like, doing wrong is just a natural thing, that is just a human thing. No, it's always been a choice. You don't have to do wrong. You choose to do wrong. There may be circumstances that lean more one way or the other, but it's still a choice. So when we play this game of morality, you can't on the other end say, if this guy is bad, he's evil. Because what if guys start using that same logic? Like, it really doesn't matter what I did. I'm a human being. God loves me. And you need to do what's right because God says I'm the leader in God's eyes. So because I'm the leader in God's eyes, so what? I kicked you off of a 2-story building. You see what I'm saying? Like, it don't fucking make sense. What's up, dog? So that's where we're at into this juncture where when it comes to the Black community, when it comes to relationship talk, bro, I'm gonna say this, and for ladies and gentlemen, this may not be the realest thing I ever said, but I'm gonna say this way. If you have an issue with doing the right thing, you don't deserve, you shouldn't be in a relationship to begin with. Because that means the person that you're going to get in a relationship with, you're not going to do the right thing to them. People can't carry you to heaven because you're an asshole. Sorry. Yeah. People can't carry you to success because you're a failure. That's not how it goes. But let me stop because my dog gonna whine. Hold up.
And I like what Anton was saying from the perspective of when you level up and know who you are in Christ, so know who you are spiritually. What that meant was you begin to see 2 Corinthians 6:17. You come out from amongst them and be ye separate. You begin to see yourself not of the world, and through the lens of the Holy Spirit of God. And that's when the right women will come around you. It's kind of like they say, how they say when you hang, you are who you hang with. You are who you hang with. You hang around certain people, you get certain energy. You hang around dope boys and you catch a dope case. Well, you hung around dope boys. You hang around girls and all of them are hoes, and then you go outside and some guy coming to you like you a hoe. Well, it's the company you keep. So when you start to seek out the Lord and want to do things differently, different type of women come into your circumference, because good and evil can't live in the same place. Good and evil is always going to be a fight amongst each other. So if you're trying to do good, evil will flee from you. So that's what Anton is trying to tell him. As a man, when you level up, you only have to worry about all those things because the woman is telling made for you a come. What he's trying to say is, man, you got to have all these different things. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, what does the woman got to have? Because you can't be doing all these type of things for a woman that's not evenly yoked and binded to you.
This is where, and I've said it before, men or women, you can't find an angel in hell. That's what this is. Like, we got this idea that I can find the best person in the worst place.
Yep.
That's not how that shit go. Even if they the best person who were born into the worst place, they're not going to stay in that worst place. They're going to find a way to get out of that. So that, you know, there's a difference between finding a diamond in the rough and finding a crystal in shit.
Yeah. Play this last 1 minute this because I want this what he said this last one before we get out of here.
Okay.
Last 1 or 2 minutes.
What is the head? A leader, a teacher, a guide, and a protector. You said God, man, woman. The man should be the roof. The man should be the roof to that woman. He should make sure she's secure. He should make sure she's safe. He should make sure that she's stable. And if he can't do that, he's not moving in the characteristics of God and does not deserve that woman. That's why so many men that run behind these weak men teaching.
There's one simple.
The prize. I don't have to show myself. Show yourself worthy. Because if you are truly a man of God, I will be able to tell by the fruit you bear, and your fruit should be leading, teaching, guiding, protecting, loving on each and every level.
Listen,
just for the record, ladies and gentlemen, what he said is absolutely correct. But guess what? Just for the record, it's absolutely bullshit. You know why it's absolutely bullshit? That's under marriage. God, husband, wife, children. That ain't under I met you and we went to Cheesecake Factory. This is where people lie and use shit. That's not the same scenario, folks. Just because you meet somebody, you're not supposed to be their leader. You're not supposed to be their covering just because you meet somebody.
What Anton should have gave him was Proverbs 30. Proverbs 30, 10 through 31, when it talks about for the type of man that Yada's saying, there's the type of woman that he will require. In order for me to provide all those things for a woman, she has to be a virtuous woman. She has to have wisdom. She has to be kind. She has to be devoted to family. She has to be all those different things. I can't just have those things and just seek out a woman to make her better. What type of virtues do she has? Is she a virtuous, pious woman? What type of woman is she? See, he's not speaking to that. And this is the problem. But I'm gonna tell you. See, we've been online a long time, right? And we know where it says a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. But it also talks about the type of woman that she has to be, right? That's in the scripture. The type of woman that she has to be. You know why he never mentioned that? Because it was 6,000 people in that room that day. And see, I keep telling you, I'm pro-black people, right? He would have brought out Proverbs 30, 10 to 31 and read some of those things on what a woman was supposed to be, half those women would have bowed out. Because that's called accountability, because he knows for a fact that most of those people agreeing with him would never meet at this point in their life right now, they don't meet those criteria. They don't meet that criteria.
I'm going to say this in a disrespectful way. I can say it better, but I'm going to say it in a disrespectful way. If you raised by a crackhead, you can always find all the good qualities of a crackhead. That don't mean you need to get married to a crackhead, though. See what I'm saying? So we're living in a world, just because you might have been raised by a certain type of individual who was flawed, that doesn't mean that should be your model for having a relationship with somebody.
Yep.
And sometimes people don't want to hear it, but this even goes with the people that you gravitate to, the people that you felt were fun and people you felt were cool. Just because you felt like somebody was fun and somebody was cool, that's not the type of person you might want to be in a relationship with, though. So yes, you can find good qualities in everybody. But this idea that the good, that if a person does we do this 80-20 thing, right? If a person does 80% bad things, but you see the good 20% in them, they're still 80% bad. They're going to do 80% bad stuff to you too. So if you choose to cling on to the 20%, that's your problem. Just like vice versa. So now I'm looking at this stuff like, bruh, and the reason why I got to say that is what I alluded to earlier when I was talking about what Yada and Anton represent. This idea that my presence, see, let me back up. You can, if you biblical, you can be a follower of God. You can be you can accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. But if you still do fucked up shit, you still going to hell. You don't get to do both. You don't get to say, I accept you as my Lord and Savior, but I'm gonna still be on this bullshit. You know, that's not how they go. You gotta make a change, a real change, to get what you want in life. If you want a peaceful life, you can't revel in chaos. You're gonna have to give it up. And if you don't want to give it up, then that's your problem. Nobody else's.
I'm gonna say something that they ain't gonna like. And see, you know why I get in trouble? Because, like, I'll give you an example. Even when you read like Proverbs 12:4, right? And I'll read it for you for a minute, right? When you read Proverbs 12:4, it says a wife of noble character is her husband's crown, right? But a disgraceful wife is like the decay in his bones. And see, the reason why you never hear the Polites and a lot of these the Derek Jacksons, they never read this stuff. They quote the Bible a lot, but they never ever read the scripture about the accountability and what a woman's supposed to bring to the table. Because once they bring that, a lot of women are going to stop immediately and say, wait a minute, I still want to turn up and have fun. You mean to tell me I got to be virtuous, noble, pious, and kind? I got to be full of wisdom. I have to do all these things. Wait, he's supposed to be perfect for me. He's supposed to be this and that. But I'm gonna tell y'all something. Let me take the gloves off for a minute. Let me sit up. Take the gloves off for a minute. In the house of dysfunction, right? When we talk, in the middle room is mommy. In the middle room is your sister. In the back room is the brother. For some reason, it's like only the boy is dysfunctional, and all the women got it together. And I'm like, no. In this house of dysfunction, we all fucked up, and we all trying to figure it out, right, and get it right. So if you're saying that this man has to meet these standards, Yada, and if not, that he can't be a husband, who said that she was raised to be a wife? Who said that she was based off of scripture, that she was noble, that she was ready to be the husband's crown? Who said that she was? How many? L.A.R, you just got married. I've been married for 23 years. How many women out here are really raised to be the crown of a husband?
Okay, since we're gonna do this, I'm gonna say something that's just very simple in my mind. If you know the difference between right and wrong, I don't want to hear your bullshit story about why you did wrong. Because the same people that's so concerned about right and wrong, they know when somebody does them wrong. How don't you know the difference between right and wrong when you're doing wrong, but when somebody do you wrong, you know exactly what they did? See, the way I was raised, that means you full of shit. Mm-hmm. You choose wrong when it's convenient for you, but then you want to stand for right and wrong when it harms you. So I don't want to hit, like, for me, I don't believe in none of that. Because that's like telling me, if I go around sucker punching people, that's not wrong because I'm angry. But if somebody sucker punch me, I'm ready to fight the world. Like, how the fuck? No. It should be a gray area, right? They should be mad at the world too. Like, it's not their fault. Mm-hmm. See, these situations, even when you was talking biblically, this, like, people, I never understood why people use the Bible, the Quran, the Torah to talk about right and wrong as if your ass don't know what's right and wrong already. Mm-hmm. You know exactly what's right and wrong. What people are trying to do is look for a loophole of forgiveness to keep fucking up.
A loophole, right?
Yeah.
And I catch flat. I catch flat from women, and I get called a simp by men because I hold everybody accountable. I hold black men accountable. I hold black women accountable. And I tend to agree more with Anton on here, you know, based off of what he was talking about, because Anton was standing more on the principles of the argument. Anton was standing more on holding. He wasn't pro man in here. He was standing more on the principle of what's right, on what's right. And that's for me. I'm not pro black man or pro black woman. I'm pro black what's right. I've been married 23 years. You think I've been married 23 years by not sacrificing, not embracing patience, not being kind, not being having solutions? I had to learn to practice all of that, L.A.R. So when I hear people talk this stuff, I'm like, I don't know what. How do you say that before you said this? Look? I know when people talk, how does this sentence go with that sentence without adding this part in? What are you talking about?
Listen, you can't be, in my opinion, you can't be pro-black if you ain't pro-right.
Yes. Yes.
You can't be pro-black and be like, and living in gray area. That's not pro-black.
No. Being pro-black is standing on the truth, man.
Yeah, that's
you got to standing on the truth. And guess what? If you pro-black and your brother's doing something wrong, you got to call him out on it. If you pro-black and your sister's doing something wrong and you don't call them out, then you might as well sit with them. You're just as guilty.
I'm gonna tell, like, for some of y'all guys who, you know, they used to have the stereotype of guys who was players and womanizers, right? And then he had a good time. He was messing with this one, that when he had a side chick, blah, 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 blah. If you really want to be honest, the people that was the real players would be like, hey man, now when somebody fucking your girl, I don't want to hear your mouth.
Yeah.
And the real players would be like, I can't say nothing because I was out there doing X, Y, and Z. So I really can't say nothing. But see, we live in a world where, I could do it to you, but you ain't supposed to do it to me. It's like, bro, I don't know what world you living in. I don't know where you from. You know,
man, this thing is vicious, bro.
Because, and I'm gonna say this, and this is not a diss to Yada. When guys manipulate the word in relationships and leadership, you better take into consideration. The reason why I agree with Anton, because he was talking about character integrity. Mm-hmm. See, a lot of y'all want to play this game where I'm a protector and provider. So y'all think y'all slick. So if I'm a good protector and provider, I could protect and provide for multiple women. So I could be a protector and provider polygamist. But here's the thing. Don't get mad when somebody can provide more. Mm-hmm. See, when it comes to actual good relationships and unions and marriages, that's part of the issue. You picked your team. That's your squad. You're going to win some. You're going to lose some. The goal is to win way more than you lose. But when you playing this game where, you know what I'm saying, it's just about protection and provision. Protection goes both ways. See, a husband is protective of his wife and his family, but a wife is also protective of a husband. So when we playing this game where only one person protects and provides, y'all lying. Because a wife don't want to lose her husband.
Mm-mm. No,
and especially to no dumb shit.
And we got to define really what a wife is, because there's a lot of women that got the papers, but is she a wife?
Exactly.
Is she a wife? I remember when I went to counseling about 8 years ago, the pastor at the church, he asked me, he said, "Are you a husband?" And I was confused. I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm married." I didn't know what he meant. He said, "Young man, stand up." And he asked me, looked me right in my eyes. He said, "Are you a husband?" And I knew I was married at L.A.R. You know what I mean? I was raised by my father, but I didn't know what it was to be a damn husband. I had to learn.
This is what we haven't, what we sometimes, in my opinion, what people are trying to say. What we're not being taught is to sacrifice for another person. And what we're not being taught is to respect the person's sacrifice. And to me, even in relationships, family, friends, marriages, if you can get to respect a person, to sacrifice for another person, and you can get a person who can respect your sacrifice, that's pretty much the part of the foundation of it. Because that's respect and love right there. Yeah. Now, if you can't do that, that's your problem.
I'm gonna say this in closing, right? Before we get out of here. I've been online for a long time, since 2009. And I always talk to black men. I really didn't talk to black women too much. Most of my message was teaching black men to become the best version of themselves. One thing I've learned, even when I was in the streets selling dope, before I was selling dope, I told L.A.R. when I was a 10-year-old boy on a block with the homies, and we would have races and we would slap box, and we would see which girls like us the most. As a young man, you found out what lane you belonged in, and you can either stay in that lane, or you can work your way out of that lane, or you can you can level up to the next lane, or you can go over to the lane next to you. But as a young man, you found out which lane you was in and where you was working from, what starting block you was coming from. We found that out. A lot of men growing up are still in those same starting blocks. They've never got out of them. So people can come online and can lead you. You have a lot of men online leading a lot of men right to hell. They're giving them bad information. They're not elevating these men because you've never got out of the starting block. So anything you see is exciting to you. Some of these guys are like superheroes to you because they represent something that you always wanted to be. But because your self-esteem was so low, you never even aspired or tried. You wanted to be, but you never tried to even be anything outside of the starting block that you was on. That's why you have grifters in the community. That's why you have men that can come online and be the butcher, the picker, the candlestick maker, and can get a following to have you follow them. But it's the same thing with women. And me and L.A.R. talked about that. You 10 years old on the block and you the guy that you run in the race, you the guy always lose the race. Or in the slap box game, you the guy always lose. Like you have very low self-esteem. So a person like Yada can come and speak, or a brother Polite can come and speak, or Derek Jackson, and a lot of people follow these people. They get large followings because you don't see yourself outside of that starting block. And I'm just trying to tell brothers, I'm saying all that to say, brothers, it's time for you to level up and be the best versions of yourself, man. The minute you start saying, her coochie ain't worth more than my time, it's not worth more than my time. What I have for me is for me. And the more and more I level up, the more the woman that's right for me, or the people that's right for me in my life, come to me. Things that come to me. Things is not coming to you in your life because you're not focusing on you to bring about that change that you somewhat desire. So if you're desiring a change, remember, y'all, if you are desiring a change, there's going to have to be a behavior in your change to obtain that change that you're desiring. So I end it right there. L.A.R.
Hold that thought. I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna hit the outro. There's an old football quote from coaches and players. You look like Tarzan, but you play like Jane. For all of y'all who don't know Tarzan, as an old thing, rough guy, jungle, beating up lions and tigers and bears, oh my, but his girlfriend was his girl, Jane. So in our society, because of social media, all you got to do is look like Tarzan. Nobody knows you play like Jane because they ain't playing. They just looking. So just remember, like when you on social media, you don't know if these people actually could walk it like they talk it. So so believe half of what you hear, half of what you see and none of what you hear. Because trust me, just as a content creator, if I want more views, I could just get on this bitch and start lying. And put in a few tabs, and y'all be like, oh, some of y'all be like, what happened to L.A.R? And then the views just shoot up, and I'll be like, I'll tell you about 2 years from now when I say, yeah, I've been lying for 2 years because I knew it could make money. That's what happens. And the reason that's got to be said is because with a lot of these conversations, and as he brought up the manosphere and all that, truth be told, what you're seeing now is just a lot of men and women who just took the manosphere talking points and topics and realized that we couldn't blow up at it because we was kind of shadow banned, and they're doing it themselves and they grifting their asses off. That's it. And they know it's gonna make money because they know, for you guys, they knew y'all, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all, for you, even you guys who watch the manosphere and who watch the Black manosphere, the other men knew you guys was too pussy to say y'all watched us publicly. So all they had to do is appeal to people who wasn't like y'all. And the girls knew, damn, if I put myself on a camera and look a little pretty and say the same thing, these fellas gonna watch.
Yep. Hey,
so it's the lane is been open. So at the end of the day, if y'all really want the honest conversations, you're gonna have to go into the real world and actually talk to other people and not be online. Honestly.
Hey, L.A.R, tell them, no, they gotta get out of that starting block. So what when you was racing, you lost? So what when you was slap boxing, he got over on you? We gotta a lot of men, we gotta get our self-esteem up and know that you're greater than the circumstances that you're in. And when you realize that a lot of these people coming on talking, you wouldn't even pay them no mind. A lot of this stuff that go on with these women, as a man, when you level up and know your ability, man, you be surprised how things change. Things changed when I started my marriage changed for the better when I start respecting myself more. When I start making better decisions for myself. It had nothing to do. I'm gonna tell you, L.A.R, I would go out running, and I would. That was my meditation or talking to God. When I begin to level up in my mind better, my marriage changed. Everything changed, and my whole house changed. Everything changed. It ain't had nothing to do with my wife. It had everything to do with me leveling up as a man. So I'll say that I'll end it there. We 2 hours and 16 minutes in.
So I'm gonna drop the outro, folks, and we out. How is that? There we go.
This looks like a job for Superman.
Do this, spoken from the lips of the young or the old, fear of me.
Yeah, gotta put it all in.
And they are Superman.
All the way.
I guess I'm taking off the cake through the glasses in the trash. Being super is great, saving y'all is such a drag. Even God took the break, me I ain't coming back. I got one life to live, if you don't like it, that's your ass. Cause nobody saved me, plus when I walk, I'm just a peon. I could use somebody just like I'm the kings of neon. This world is cold as ice, mixed with salt, mixed with freon. They got me pissed off, but that's better than being peed on. For eons, human beings took kindness for weakness. When you constipated, you start to appreciate shit. Put before you life and death, and you just gotta choose. The kryptonite life means you still follow the rules. If your credit's messed up or your bills ain't paid, then it's getting disconnected. Can't nobody say the day. And I can fly, leave a building in a single bound, but I can't stand fair weather friends, and I just fly around. My super friends in Justice League, only folk I kick it with. Kill Lex Luthor, so what? We had to finish it. Kids play games and adults play for keeps. And me, I play to win, but I ain't playing in these streets. And life is not a joke, then again it ain't this serious. Superman can say the day, but God can say the Superman. Saga of the kryptonite, life just ended. You enjoy listening? Man, I'll finish it.
Lois, come holler at me. I got an ice couch. Thank you for coming out, listening. I knew you would like it because we made it. I'm so frigid and so fly.